Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Wellbeing with Seamus. I'm your host, Seamus Corry, and thank you for tuning in and listening to this podcast episode and all my podcast episodes. If you've not already followed and if you've not already subscribed, please do so today, following the YouTube hashtags on the comments or the Spotify hashtag and link in the comments as well. You won't want to miss out on today's episode, I can tell you. And I have with me the wonderful Meera Ishaya, who is going to speak to you today about her own journey. Meera is a mother, she's a teacher, she's a meditator, and she follows a unique path as a monk. And I'm keen, as a wellbeing consultant, to speak to Meera today to find out a little bit about our own story, but also to, really talk to her about our book, Surrender is Good for the Soul. And I'm going to talk, and we're going to speak today, and we're going to talk about how surrender is good for the soul, and what surrender might look like and feel like for you, but more importantly, what it looks like and feels like for Meera, and how she, works surrender into her daily life to produce joy, peace, bliss, serenity, and fulfillment. Meera, you're very welcome to Wellbeing with Seamus this afternoon.
Oh, thank you, Seamus. That was an amazing introduction. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm on fire today, Meera. I'm really on fire today. Meera, for those of you who, for those who might be listening in today who don't know about you, can you tell the listeners who is Meera Ishaya, and you know what who are you, and where do you come from, and what do you do?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm Meera, and I'm an Ishaya monk. But I'm just an ordinary person. I think sometimes when I say that, monk has connotations,
Hmm.
and you might get a visual on that. And obviously, I'm not meeting the visual that we sometimes have. And for me, I think we have concepts about things. So like what a monk is, what God is, what love is, what's an easy life, what's challenging. We have concepts that we live by. And for me, my journey has been coming away from the concepts and into the direct experience of pure awareness, because we kind of live in a thought created reality.
Hmm.
And we have these understandings about ourselves, and we identify with thoughts and beliefs, and it governs our experience. And so for me, becoming an Ishaya monk has been about purifying my experience, coming back to simply being myself. So it's a very ordinary experience, actually. And in fact, one of the chapters in the book that you just showed, Surrender is Good for the Soul, is extraordinary, because
Hmm.
we've got this word extraordinary, and it always fascinated me as a child, because it's extra and then ordinary, so more of the ordinary, whereas really extraordinary means something different from that. But really extraordinary it's this ordinary life that we have, and all the beautiful little moments that make it extraordinary. And when we can see the beauty in our lives, when we can have that pure experience which surrender brings, that fulfilling experience, like nothing needs to change on the outside. It's this inner journey of discovery and coming back to self that really enriches and enlivens my life in particular. And I think, like I pay that forward, like the experience I have, I'm not special. There's nothing special about me. I've just learned that there's another way to be, and applied the teaching, and enabled myself to come back into that experience, cultivated that natural experience of presence, which is everybody's birthright. So, I live in that experience now, and everyone can have it. It's not just for monks. It's not just for people meditating in caves all day long. I don't do that, by the way. Out in the world, for me, as monks, we're out in the world, living our lives, and then demonstrating how you can live your life by doing it, and everyone I interact with. And I think it's really like people can relate to it more. If you're just a monk in a cave, fantastic. But if people can see how we navigate our challenges, and how what we teach actually looks like in our own lives. I think it's more relatable, and it's more than inspiring, I think, for people to be able to have that for themselves.
Absolutely. Meera, I'm fascinated. You absolutely don't fulfill the brief in terms of what I would vision as a monk, right? And when I saw the name monk attached to your name, I kind of, well, she's not got a shaved head. She's not wearing any robes. She's not in a cave. She's not in a monastery. You're a mum. You're a wife. You're a consultant. You work in the world. How did you come to the Ishaya way? How did you find it, or did it find you, or was it a combination of both?
Well, it appeared that I found them, but I think really it's like when you're ready, the teaching appears. So I think,
Yeah.
until you're ready, you can be looking. So for me, there was like almost stepping stones to this experience. But what kind of led me on to start the quest, if you like, and the search for more out of life was the worst moment of my life. So my other book outlines my story in the first part of it. And yeah, I didn't want to live anymore. I actually chose to end my life. And in that, and I did that because the pain was too much. I couldn't, it was physical pain, but emotional pain too. I don't think you can have physical pain without emotional pain and mental pain and trauma. And it's just like you just get so encapsulated by it. I just couldn't do it anymore. I just utterly gave up, and I thought I've had enough. And actually that was my first moment of surrender. And so I just gave up. I just didn't want to live. Thankfully, I was caught in the act, so I was never able to follow through with it. Um, I won't go into details now, yeah, because it can be triggering for people, I think. And but I'm happy to answer questions if you do want to talk about it. But for me, I think it was that moment where I just gave up. I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. And actually that led to complete surrender. Like I didn't care anymore. I just utterly stopped with everything in life.
Yeah.
And that actually opened up into a really profound experience of peace. Bizarrely,
Yeah.
like it's like all of this pain just melted away, and this really profound, deep, endless experience of peace opened up. And it's just like then there was all there it was. It wasn't that the pain got easier. It was just like there was no pain. There was not even a concept of pain in that experience. It was just profoundly peaceful. And it's almost just like this presence held me. And it was so vast and endless. It was just a beautiful, beautiful transcendent experience. And it was a direct experience. So like, talking about the concepts, we have
Mm.
concepts about life, talking about peace for me always used to sound a bit boring. Like I don't want to be a monk in a cave, meditating all day long. Sounds boring to me, but actually peace isn't boring. It's exciting, it's enlivening, it's so natural and nurturing and joyful at the same time. It's like you don't get peace or joy, you get peace and joy. And so yeah, that experience really, because it was an experience, a direct living experience, rather than just a concept of it that I might be hopeful for and go towards, it gave me a real direct taste of it. And
Yeah.
so it suddenly, it's like it woke me up, and it's just like, whoa, if I can have this experience right now at my lowest moment, when I've hit rock bottom, then I'm pretty sure I can have that for the rest of my time. And then I got I got kind of like the drive to go, well, how do I get this? Because obviously that experience faded, it didn't sustain, but it was strong enough and really impressed upon me. So I was just like, right, okay, how do I use this experience, and what is out there for me that I can find to make life easier? So I found a ton of stuff that made life easier, that supported my condition, that helped with the pain. And then it's almost like I got to a state of readiness, and I'm like, I want to replicate this though. All these lovely workshops I went on, all these books that I read, had to be reading the book or had to be on the workshop, maybe last a week afterwards. So I kind of wanted something more sustainable and replicatable in my everyday life. And when that, I kind of put the wish out, the desire for that, that's when I found the Ishayas, or rather they found me. And it's like my life began again. It's a massive reset, and it was a real awakening to possibilities that I didn't even know were available, So for me, it's just like, until you know what's available, you can't apply it. You know, people need to know, and that's what I, you know, dedicate my life to, really, is letting people know that life can be easy and exciting, fulfilling, and we can harness surrender in order to do that. And we're not surrendering to something outside of ourselves, we're surrendering within to that greatest version of ourselves, that pure radiant awareness that's so still and blissful and quiet and calm, and it's us. It's not this separate thing. We haven't got to do anything, subtract anything, or add anything to our experience. All we need to do is a shift of awareness and start to recognize who and what we really are, and that light radiates out into every aspect of your life, in my experience. And I see it happening with people. You know, anyone who wants this, go for it, because, you know, there's actually, what you can conceive of from the mind is very limited compared to what's actually available to you. So it's like you can go beyond the mind's understanding of the world and actually, you know, attain and start to explore, you know, beyond anything your mind can conceive. So mind blown, you know, and then what? You know, what's here now? Who am I? Who am I really?
Do we limit ourselves as human beings in terms of what we can achieve?
It's not so much that we limit ourselves. It's that we've learned a program that limits us. So,
Okay.
you know, like one of the chapters that you might have read already in the book is the thought created reality.
Mm,
So as long as we're thinking is informing our experience. So
mm,
almost like we're wearing a virtual reality headset and we're experiencing life through that. We're seeing, we're hearing, we're tasting, we're touching, everything, every experience we have, everything that we understand about the world is through a set of filters. And
mm.
so we're not having a pure experience. We're having one that's governed by the mind. And that by its very nature is limiting. Like, because then we can only experience what the mind believes is true.
Yeah.
We only can experience what the mind believes is possible. And so in order to have a greater experience in that, you have to go beyond the mind. And the techniques that I teach and practice myself are called ascension. And it's a very descriptive term, you know. It's yeah, above and beyond. That's what ascension means. It's to rise above and beyond. And so you rise above and beyond the thinking mind, and then you have pure awareness, presence, and to have a direct recognition of that in your experience right now is so enlivening, so nurturing, and so deeply grounded and restful and centered. And then it's like thoughts might still arise in the experience, but it's like they become objective to you. You know, you're the subject, pure awareness, and then the thoughts stop having so much of an impact on your experience. It's like, yeah, you might see them, they might trigger you a little bit, but you can recognize that that's only a fraction of your experience. There's so much more available to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you open yourself up almost to divinely universal consciousness, which is much bigger and wider and larger than we can ever imagine, right?
And we are that. That's the thing, is like, I think
Yeah.
the mind almost makes us this small little limited self. And it's just a story, it's just an idea, you know. And if you identify with that, then yes, that's who you become. Just this body, just this mind, and you live your life like that. And some people have very lovely lives like that, you know. I think for me, in a way, I was blessed with the suffering. I was blessed with the traumatic experiences, because it shook me awake, like wake up call after wake up call. It's just like, yeah, this isn't a sustainable model. So in my suffering, that became the opening to going beyond the mind, to having that greater experience. So, you know, I always say I'm really grateful for the long-term physical pain I was in, all the stuff that's happened to me. My mum always thinks that's crazy when I say that. She's like, "Oh, don't
Yeah.
say that." And I'm like, "But
Yeah.
no,
I
honestly,
get it. I
otherwise
absolutely get it. Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am now." And I
Yeah.
love where I am now. And so, yeah, I'm glad I was shaken awake. I wouldn't necessarily want to live through the experiences again, but I wouldn't live through them again, because my experience now is so vastly different that I would approach it and feel it and experience it differently. So the suffering wouldn't be there. You can eliminate suffering. You don't necessarily eliminate pain, but you can eliminate suffering.
Yeah.
And surrender enables me to do that very, very effectively.
Absolutely, you know, and all religious beliefs to some extent would say similarly, right? You know, in the Buddhist belief, in the Buddhist tradition, to talk about samsara, you know, and release from suffering. In the Christian tradition, through prayer penance, we can almost elevate ourselves above suffering. I'm fascinated, right? I am fascinated. I want to dig a little bit deeper, if you don't mind. How does Meera become an Ishaya monk?
Well, I mean, Meera is my given name as an Ishaya monk. So I was, my birth name's Sally. So I
Okay.
was Sally. How does Sally become an Ishaya monk? And for me, I think, uh, it, like I said, the Ishayas found me. And really, that's not me going to a monastery. We teach, like I'm an Ishaya now. And so we teach courses in everyday world, weekend courses. So you learn the ascension techniques. And that starts to tap you into presence. It starts
Okay.
to tap you into this other operating mode where surrender just naturally happens, like the surrendered state of being is the natural state of being. You can stay surrendered, and then life it flows through you. Everything's effortless. Doing happens through you. You don't think what to say. The words just come, like as if by magic almost. And intuition is really refined. And so, yeah, using the ascension techniques is that opened that doorway for me. So yeah, I learned these techniques, and then within a couple of years, I'm like, I want more. So I went to this course, which is in the north of Spain, this amazing retreat center, which was just like heaven on earth, where we prioritized the practice and we did meetings, and we start to learn to simply be ourselves, to let any of the stress come up, and to recognize that we're not that. We're the awareness of that. And so the whole environment nurtures you and holds you, and the teachers that have already walked the path, guide us, like I now guide people. So that, by the end of the 6 months of the course, my experience was then so rock solid that I could then share that experience with others, because at the level of consciousness, we're all one. Like, it's not me teaching people, it's more like me sharing the silence, the stillness of pure presence and awareness that enlivens it in the other person, because they are that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, for me, teaching is more a sharing of the experience, just simply being myself actually around other people enlivens that in them. And then, yes, you kind of teach the techniques as the means to coming to that experience and replicating it for themselves, so they can come back and come back and come back. The techniques are mechanical, so you haven't got to visualize or even believe that they're going to work. Like, you can actually believe, well, these are rubbish techniques, they're not going to work. But if you actually use them, they work no matter what your beliefs are. And I love that, because it's infallible then. Like, if you practice them, everyone who practices them and receives the ongoing guidance, which is pretty essential actually to go beyond the tricks and traps of the mind, then they too gain a really solid experience of peace and presence, and life just starts to reframe and come back to its purity, so we can simply be ourselves. And we're so powerful, we're so creative and inventive, and we have so many skills and talents. And I believe every base is covered in the world if everyone is just themselves. I don't think we have to try and fill all the gaps in the world, or the solutions. I think we have the solutions within us, and just everyone being themselves enables these solutions, and this peaceful world can be created very effortlessly and easily.
Wow. Well, powerful words, Meera. Powerful words, and really moving words. And I've said already, but your book is written pretty much from the heart. I haven't read your first one yet, as I went for the second book in your series. I understand there's going to be more books, and we look forward to that. What what drives you, Meera? What drives you? What sustains you? In terms of the work that you do now. How would you say it's a mission or a ministry or a role? How would you describe what you do now?
I think it's just I think when you start to come into a direct experience of who and what you really are, like, it's like you fill yourself up with peace and love and contentment and happiness and joy and excitement. And that actually happens just naturally. Like, you don't even have to figure out how to become like that. It just happens through using the techniques. And so in that, I think it just flows from you. Like, you have to give. You know, it's just becomes, it's like you're so full, it just flows out into the world around you. And so giving is just this very natural process that happens. And so, yeah, I think you then tap into your sense of purpose. Like a lot of people, I hear people saying, oh, I need a purpose in life. And for me, being aware of presence right now, which is actually greater than even just being present. If you're aware of presence right now, it's just like your purpose is already being fulfilled in every word you say, in every action you take. And it's just like you're just so I think that just the drivenness happens, if you like you just want to share. You're so excited for the experience that you're having. You want to share it with the world. You want others to have it too, not just to transcend suffering, but to really live, to really be alive, because it's our birthright and it's accessible and available for everybody. So I want them to, anyone who's interested in it, then go for it, because you can have it too. It's not this pipe dream. It's a very direct, living, alive experience that if you know how and you apply the techniques to cultivate the experience, then everyone can have it. And so, yeah, for me, I'm just naturally driven. And I think for me in the past, my light went out, if you like. I got so bogged down by life. I lost that sense of, curiosity and inspiration and creativity. I lost it somewhere along the lines. And it doesn't matter if you feel like, anyone who's listening now, if you feel like you've lost that and it feels a little bit like, well, you have it, Meera, but, you're different from me. And it's just like, I'm not different from you. I'm just a living example of what you can have too. And that's what I share with teaching the techniques, is it's an empowering of the person who learns rather than me teaching them anything. I'm not teaching you any information. You've got enough information and knowledge to last a lifetime. But what you want now is a direct experience to come back to that state of presence for yourself. So your purpose is just found, enlivened in you, and live it, and then you can live your life from there.
Wow. So in your work that you do now, is it a series of weekends? Is it group work? Is it individual work? Is it meditation? Is it practice? Is it how would you describe what you do to somebody like me who wanted to know a little bit more, but was kind of fearful about jumping in and finding out maybe that you're going to take my bank account, or I'm going to have to sell everything that I own and come follow you, or I'm going to be taken over by a force or an entity. So for somebody like me who, for example, wanted to know more, what could I expect? What could I expect if I wanted to move in the Ishaya way?
Yeah, I think it's funny how I think the fear comes from the belief that it can't be this simple and easy. So I think really I just demonstrate through the different techniques, the courses, my books, that it can be simple and easy, and actually not just that it's possible, but how to actually implement that. So the course to learn the ascension techniques with the Bright Path Ishayas, that for me was my starting point. So I highly recommend that as a starting point for most people, really. If you learn those techniques, it's almost like everything's given unto you. It's then you find the things that are best for you next, if you know what I mean. It's like you tap into the flow. And then I do a ton of other courses online just to explore through the different topics. So pain awareness ones are very one of my most popular courses. But I also do ones for fatigue and emotions and healing relationships. So, reducing stress, and then just basic meditation, from beginner's meditation to, starting to explore more. So people can, the ascension techniques, for example, you only can learn those in person. So some people can't attend, like they're in America, so they can't attend those courses. So they do the online ones with me, for example, excuse me.
Okay.
And then the books really are just that tool that are the cheapest thing, to start you off on the journey. You read the books and then you get inspired, I think, and then you want to explore more. So yeah, there's so many different ways. And I have a YouTube channel as well, so people can watch my video shorts and listen to my guided meditations for free. So I like to kind of provide it all, if you like, the free stuff, the cheaper stuff like the books, and then the courses some are cheaper and some are more, and it's just like, what do you want? And yeah, you look at it and then you go for what makes the most sense for you as the next step. And it's just a stepping stone. There's always more, always more.
Absolutely, absolutely. What does, you shared some of your past. What does life look like for you now, Meera?
Well, for me, it feels like I'm on holiday all the time. Like life used to feel so heavy and limited, and like sense of obligation and chores and work and heaviness, and everything was hard and difficult, and I had to do stuff, Whereas me, right now, it really looks so playful, so
Mm,
creative, So I can be doing the most mundane tasks, but I'm just filled with joy as I'm doing them, So everything, it's like every moment of my life feels like I'm on holiday all the time.
mm,
Nothing is a chore, nothing is difficult. Yes, I have, responsibilities to fulfill as a mom, as a wife, and looking after a house, all the basic daily things, and then doing a job to earn money to pay the bills. I lived through all of that, but I think my experience of it is just so light and gentle and joyful that I'm enjoying no matter what I'm doing, because it's an
yeah,
internal state of being. So it actually doesn't matter what I'm doing. Everything is done from my state of beingness, if you like. Like we see the world as we are. And so when you have this state of presence within that we all have that, by the way. It's like nobody doesn't have that, but it's whether you are consciously aware of it or not, because we can only experience what we're aware of, and a lot of people are only aware of the thoughts and the emotions and the body sensations. Like that's all we are. So it's a very limited experience. So to be able to actually have that purer experience of presence and who and what you are, it's then a very joyful life. So yeah, it does feel like I'm on holiday. And like everything tastes different, doesn't it, when you're on holiday, and you sort of think it's the different food, but actually it's because you're more relaxed, you're more
yeah.
open, you're more playful and gentle and explorative, and you can rest now because you're on holiday. Whereas
You're right.
actually you can rest now in everyday life too, and still get all of the jobs done.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I remember going on holidays many, many times, and you'd eat a tomato in this country, and the tomato was a tomato. You'd eat it in Spain, and it tasted different, but it was the same tomato. Is that because is that because we need as human beings to be more relaxed? We need to let go of quite a lot. We need to unwind ourselves and unlink ourselves from our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in order to come to that awareness and presence, that divine presence, as it were, that ascension that you speak about. And in order to sustain that, I understand, if you correct me if I'm wrong, that we need to maintain that almost on a daily basis, to practice that almost on a daily basis. Would that be the correct way of looking at it, Mia?
Yeah, it really just comes down to what you want out of life. Like you
Hmm.
use the word need, but need often implies a lack. And for me, actually, it's more just like going towards what you want rather than moving away from what you don't want. So I think the
Okay.
mind's a problem solving tool. So it's almost seeing what's wrong with the world and
Yeah.
tries to put it right. And so you
Yeah.
kind of live in a world that feels wrong then. Like if you believe something's wrong, you feel the wrongness of it.
Yeah.
Because we feel our thoughts and we think our feelings. And so for me, coming away from that thought created reality and into presence, the direct living experience, and then it's purified then. There's no wrongness in that. There's just a sense of ease and grace because you're just simply being now. The thoughts aren't telling you how to feel or think or be or what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So you're now free to do exactly what you want, and then you kind of slippy slide into the flow then of that greatest force for good that's always enlivening everything, and now you get to taste it and experience it. So it's almost like there's two operating modes, the thinking one and then presence.
Okay.
And it's just deciding, do you want presence? Do you like the sound of that? Because if you do, then go for it, because it's who and what you are. So it's
Yeah.
an undoing. And so it's possible for everyone, to just come back to that experience very simply and easily, actually.
It sounds so simple, but it is, right.
It is. Yeah, you need the tools, because I think that without particularly the ascension tools for me, and you can do any meditation practice, but I think it's a more comprehensive practice in my experience, ascension, because you come away from, like, a lot of meditations in my experience before that were kind of keeping you on the content of life, like your attention on the breath. It's wonderful for calming the body, and I still use that. Like, it's, you know, the appropriate tool for the job that you're needing. If you've got trauma releasing, for example, I have that. Then I might forget my ascension techniques. I might breathe through it, for example. But for me, it's that foundational practice with the ascension techniques that keep reconnecting me back to presence automatically. And because it's automatic, and it directs your attention onto the still silent awareness, you haven't got to do that. Whereas another meditation practice, for example, you might gradually open up into stillness and silence, whereas this is boom, you're there every time you think it. And so it's been a lot faster, a lot more effective, and it can be more uncomfortable at times too, because it's releasing everything. So, you know, when you're tapping into presence, everything that you're not, all the stress releases really quickly and easily, and that you've got to be careful that doesn't overwhelm you on the way out, you know, because it hooks your attention. And so there are moments where you do have to stop and pause and get advice and get that guidance so you can navigate the stress releasing. And so until you get more anchored in the stillness and silence, you know, like dropping an anchor down on a boat, you need, if there's a storm going on the surface, if you're anchored down, then the boat's fine, you know. And if your attention is on the anchor, on the stillness and silence, then you don't experience the being, you know, knocked about and bruised by life. So there could be a storm brewing on the surface. You can be in a really busy environment with some really aggressive people, for example. And if you have learned how to put your attention within to that still, silent, and moving, unchanging place, then you can have a real deep sense of peace and calm, even while in the company of people who are, you know, the raging storm, chaos, unkindness, cruelty, whatever. And you're not experiencing it. It doesn't touch you. It's like you become untouchable because you're anchored in this, in the depths of stillness within, and that holds you steady. That informs your experience, rather than what's going around. So it's like you'll still have a point of attention on what's going on around you, but it's just a point of focus with this peripheral awareness that's really grounded. And so life then, it's like you're held throughout everything. And it also, intuition is so refined that the right words come, the right action comes. There seems to be like a greater vision, like you can see more, hear more, so you have access to more possibilities and opportunities. And yeah, it's like this greatest force for good that's always acting in your favor. Like there's a term for it, pronoia. It's the opposite of paranoia, you know, where you kind of believe everyone's out to get you or the world's out to get you. And pronoia is the belief that there is this greatest force for good, that, you know, everything's there to serve you, everything's there to work in your favor, secretly, quietly working behind the scenes. So I love that.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I've learned something new. I've learned a new word today. I love that new word, pronoia. I love it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt. I'm going to take it with me, carry with me everywhere I go. There's a secret force working always for our good, you know, rather than against us. And all that we need to do, if I hear you correctly, is to be able to tap into that. Is to, you know, is to tap into that, you know, and retrain our vision to encapsulate that wider plan for us, right?
Yeah, definitely. I love that. We should so get t-shirts printed.
Absolutely. I'm on that. So you can have that one. You can have that one, right? Your next course, I'm going to see 20 people in a room, all with the t-shirt pronoia on it. Love it. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Meera, I could talk to you all day, and I probably could, you know, because the more I talk to you, and this is our second outing together, the more, you know, the more we delve in, right? The more we delve in. Obviously,
Well,
you've got
this could be part one.
this can be part one. I expect this is going to be a long-term arrangement, though, in terms of, you know, we're now on a journey together, I'm certainly personally very interested in the Ishaya way. You know, I always had you know, from a Catholic background, the image of ascension as Jesus ascending into heaven, right? where he sits at the right hand of God and everything is cool in heaven, and the angels are singing and everything is one. But what you describe in terms of the ascension process, is available and open to everybody, and we don't need to die, and we don't need to ascend into heaven. That heaven is right here, right now, in this moment, in this time, and this, and all we need to do is tap it into that stillness awareness, tap into that presence that's all around us, and just almost retune our focus, right?
Mm. Yeah, and it's not a religion. The Ishaya monks, then we're not religious. It's nothing about dogma, and there's no belief system to it. So you can use the techniques, whatever your religion is, or if you have no religion, it's open for everybody. And I love that there's no one way of doing it. It's just the techniques help you find your way. Rather than you subscribing to a belief system, what does Meera say, and do what Meera says. It's just like, goodness, no, I just want to empower you to find your own way, what's true for you, and how that truth expands and grows as your vision expands and grows, and your presence becomes, more upfront and personal. And we align with presence rather than align with the thinking mind, so that we can have that different. And it's a spiritual experience, but it's also like, people come to Ascension just because they want better sleep and less stress, and it gives people basically what they want. If you want the whole enchilada and you want the spiritual experience, then perfect, you can have that. If you just want a bit better sleep, then it gives you that too, and less stress and more peace. It gives you that too. And so it's almost like this amazing teaching that just nurtures what you're ready for, what you want, rather than you having to subscribe to something or change how you are. Like, the change naturally happens within, so it never really feels like you start eating healthier, for example, rather than trying to diet. It's a much more natural, organic way to live your life, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly listening to you today, Meera, and having been blessed today by your presence and on this episode 10 of Wellbeing with Seamus with me, I definitely want to know more. I definitely want to read more. I definitely want to explore the Ishaya way more, because I think it can help me, be more grounded in presence. But I think for those who may be listening today and who may have struggles, who may have difficulties, who may be in pain, whether that be physical, mental, emotional, or psychological, the Ishaya way, the Ishaya method offers a freedom, right? It offers a path, where you can move beyond that without considering the alternative, which might be for some people, considering taking their own life. And it works in conjunction with any form of other awareness that's out there. And I would say to people today, and this being the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Month in the States right now, and if you are struggling, seek help and seek support, and that great people like Meera are out there. Just a phone call, an email, even a YouTube channel away, to latch on to hope, because you give hope, Meera. You define hope. You are hope. Your story is one of hope. That you were in a pretty dark place, and you found the right help, and you found the right support, and you found the right path for you that has taken you off in a completely different direction, but in essence brought you back to yourself, brought you back to who you really are. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed today to have spent this time with you in your company, albeit down through the medium of digital technology, which is wonderful. And I hope in future we get the chance to sit down face to face, over a beverage of choice, to to talk more about, you know, your life and work, because I think you're just amazing, Meera. Absolutely amazing.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to sit down with a beverage of my choice
Yeah, absolutely.
and have a chat with you. And you know what you were saying about hope is, you know, it's so beautiful actually. And I think that's for me the first thing that I got was the chance to have hope.
Yeah.
You know, when I had none. And then so I think that was the first stepping stone for me, is like anything that can give you hope. Hopefully this podcast can give you hope, from this episode to all the other ones that you're doing. You know, I think that's probably one of the reasons that you're doing it, is to give people an understanding of what else is available, and to give them hope. You know, if your life right now is really difficult and challenging, that's how my life was. So if I can change it, so can you. You know, like it's within your grasp. You know, just finding the methods, the tools, the teaching, however it looks for you. You know, if you search, if you seek, you shall find. You know, so go for it.
Yeah, and knock and the door shall be opened unto you.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Awesome.
listen, and pronoia the hell out of life, right? That is my new catchphrase for today. I love that.
Awesome.
Vera, I absolutely love that. I absolutely love pronoia, Pronoia, right?
I think that's how it's spelled. Yeah, you can look it up though. I know when
Pro,
my teacher presented it to me, I'm like, now you're making things up. I genuinely thought he was making it up. And it's like,
I,
no, it's a
I
real
love
thing.
it. I absolutely love it. You've made my weekend. You made my life actually, because I always believed there was, you know, I've always kind of believed in a presence out there to do me good rather than do me ill. So now I can put a face to the name, and I know what it is, which is absolutely brilliant. So I've learned something really special today, Meera. So thank you, and on behalf of me, myself, and I thank your spiritual teacher as well for sharing that with you. You have now shared it with me, and I'm going to share it with the world. So I appreciate you. Absolutely appreciate you. Meera Ishaya, thank you so much for your time today. If you've not, you know, gotten connected with Meera yet, please do so. As I say, Meera, what's your YouTube channel?
It's simply called Meera Ishaya. So yeah, quite easy to find. And my business is called Boundless Meditation. So that's the website.
Wonderful. Your books are available through your own website, and I presume from Amazon as well, right?
Yeah, well, just through Amazon, really. So the links are on my website, so you can find them there, or you can just type in the title, or just type in Meera Ishaya. Probably, I don't know if that finds you to them. Sometimes you get some weird and wonderful stuff when you type in Ishaya. But
Okay. Okay. You know what I'm going to do after this podcast episode finishes, then, right? You know, I'm going to Google. You know, I'm going to
people
Google.
Google me now. I've never, yeah, I get people getting people that you know, maybe a course gets cancelled through. I work for City Lit, an adult learning college in London. Sometimes the courses don't go ahead, and so then I get Googled, and people end up doing them with me directly. And it's just like, I think that's so funny.
Oh, it's the power of technology, isn't it? It's the power of
Yeah,
vibration.
yeah,
It is the power of
the world
vibration.
we live in.
Meera, thank you ever so much. Peace and blessings to you today, my friend. And you know, I wish you well as you continue on your Ashaya path. And you know, thank you for sharing your life, your story, your path with me and with our listeners today. I really appreciate it, Meera. Thank you so much, and have a lovely weekend.
Oh, you're so welcome. Absolutely welcome. So yeah, until we meet again.
Until we meet again. Until we meet